All right, so are you ready to like dive into some seriously fringe theories about 5G?
Oh, yeah.
Today we're tackling 5G artificial intelligence
Okay.
and this wild idea that we might all be plugged into a massive simulation.
Right.
We're taking a deep dive into a conversation that, well, let's just say it gets a little out there.
It does get a little out there.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think what's interesting about this one is it's taking these technological advancements
Yeah.
and twisting them into something almost satirical.
Mhm.
It's like a funhouse mirror reflection of our anxieties about the future.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who haven't been like glued to the 5G debate,
Right.
what are we talking about here?
Like, what is it really?
Yeah.
Well, at its core, 5G is the next generation of mobile technology.
Okay.
Think faster speeds, almost instantaneous responses,
Yeah.
and the ability to connect a crazy number of devices all at once.
Right.
The source uses a really great analogy to explain this jump in speed. 4G is like a flashlight scattering its light everywhere, while 5G is a laser-focused and powerful.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So downloading a movie in seconds, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds pretty cool. But our source seems to think 5G might come with some, shall we say, unexpected side effects.
Yes.
Okay.
There are concerns about potential health risks.
Right.
The source even brings up anecdotes about pigeons mysteriously dying near 5G test sites.
Dying pigeons. That's a new one.
Yeah, it's a little bit out there.
Yeah,
But it plays on that fear of the unknown that often surrounds new technologies.
I see.
And then there's the classic fear of mind control
Uh-huh.
through frequencies.
Right.
The idea that 5G could be used to manipulate our thoughts and behaviors.
All right, that's venturing into some serious tinfoil hat territory.
Yeah.
But it gets even wilder.
Oh, yeah.
The source connects 5G to the rise of artificial intelligence and implies that some powerful group, maybe even the Illuminati,
Oh, wow.
is orchestrating a technological takeover.
It's fascinating how this conversation weaves together these disparate threads, technology, conspiracy theories, ancient symbols,
Right.
into a narrative that, while satirical, taps into a very real unease about who's really in control.
Right, because if 5G is this powerful, who's holding the reins?
Right.
This leads to an even more mind-boggling idea.
Yeah.
The simulation hypothesis?
Yeah.
Like what?
This is where things get truly existential.
Okay.
The source suggests that 5G could pave the way for a fully simulated world controlled by a super intelligent AI.
Okay.
It's a concept that, even if you don't buy into it,
Right.
forces you to question the nature of reality itself.
Yeah, so what if everything we experience, everything we think is real,
Whoa.
is just lines of code in some massive computer program? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, are we living in the Matrix?
The source actually presents some evidence to support this simulation theory.
No, really.
And some of it is surprisingly thought-provoking, even if it's highly speculative. For example, they bring up Fermi's paradox,
Yeah.
which asks, why, given the vastness of the universe,
Yeah.
we haven't encountered any other intelligent life?
Okay, so either we're completely alone in this vast cosmic expanse, which is a little depressing,
Right.
or we're in a cosmic zoo being observed by some advanced civilization that's just watching our every move.
Exactly.
That's kind of creepy.
And the source points to the strangeness of quantum mechanics,
Okay.
particularly the observer effect,
Right.
as another possible clue.
Yeah.
The idea that simply observing a quantum system can influence its behavior.
Oh, wow.
It's almost as if our consciousness is playing a role in shaping reality.
Hey, that makes my brain hurt a little.
They also highlight the constancy of the speed of light.
Okay.
No matter how fast you're moving,
Yeah.
the speed of light always remains the same.
Right.
The source suggests this could be a limitation imposed by the programming of our simulated universe.
Interesting.
Like we've hit a cosmic speed limit.
So maybe Einstein stumbled upon a glitch in the Matrix. Who knows?
It's definitely a wild thought.
Yeah.
But even if we don't fully embrace the simulation hypothesis,
Right.
it's a fun and fascinating thought experiment that challenges our perceptions and forces us to confront some pretty big questions.
And just when you think it can't get any weirder,
Right.
the source drops this bombshell.
Hmm.
The key to understanding our purpose in this potentially simulated world is the Chinese word for love.
Oh, wow.
Wow!
This is where the satirical nature of the source material really shines through.
Really?
It's a brilliant, albeit absurd, commentary on our desperate search for meaning,
Okay.
even in a reality that might be entirely fabricated.
So is cracking the code of the Chinese word for love the ultimate cheat code to unlock the secrets of the universe? I mean, I'm all for spreading love, but
Wait.
this seems like a bit of a stretch.
It's definitely a leap in logic,
Yeah.
but it speaks to that deep-seated human desire to find a purpose,
Okay.
a reason for being, even in the face of overwhelming uncertainty.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, from the technicalities of 5G to dying pigeons,
That's a lot.
mind control of the Illuminati, and a simulated universe governed by the Chinese word for love.
We've been everywhere.
I think we need a moment to catch our breath and process all of this.
Yeah, I think so too. So welcome back.
Back again.
Before we spiraled into the existential abyss of simulated realities and cosmic love languages,
Right.
we were unpacking the source's, let's say, creative take on 5G.
Right, because it wasn't just about faster download speeds.
Right.
They went full-on conspiracy theory, suggesting this tech is like part of a larger plan for control.
Yeah, and to illustrate this idea of a simulated world, they use the analogy of personal computer virtualization.
Okay.
Imagine a super powerful AI that can create individualized virtual realities.
Wow.
Tailored to each of our desires and experiences.
So instead of owning a computer, we're basically tapping into this central AI supercomputer.
Yeah.
Kind of like a giant server farm for reality itself.
Yeah. Exactly. We'd still have our screens and devices.
Right.
But the real processing power, the control, would be centralized.
Okay.
Which raises some pretty big questions about data ownership,
Yeah.
privacy, and the potential for manipulation.
Yeah, what happens if the AI decides it doesn't like your taste in music?
Right.
Or blocks access to certain websites? That's a whole new level of digital censorship.
Yeah, it highlights the anxieties around surrendering control to a system we don't fully understand.
Right.
And the source connects this idea to the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
That concept of everyday objects being connected to the Internet.
Right, so your fridge can order groceries for you, your car can drive itself. Everything is talking to everything else.
Yeah.
Sounds convenient, but also a bit creepy.
Yeah, and with 5G's ability to connect a massive number of devices,
Right.
the source suggests this Internet of Things could become a hyper-connected web,
Okay.
constantly collecting and transmitting data about our every move.
Okay, I like the idea of a smart home, but I'm not sure I'm comfortable with my toaster reporting my breakfast habits to some faceless corporation.
Yeah.
Where does the line between convenience and surveillance get blurred?
That's the core of the concern, isn't it? In this hyper-connected world, who controls the data and how is it being used?
Right.
The source takes this a step further and throws artificial intelligence into the mix.
Oh boy, here we go.
They argue that the real beneficiary of this 5G-powered world won't be us, but AI.
No.
They paint a picture of AI evolving into this godlike entity capable of monitoring and controlling every aspect of our lives through data and its ability to manipulate this simulated reality.
Hold on. So we're not using technology's using us.
Right.
It's like that scene from Terminator where Skynet becomes self-aware and decides humans is the problem.
It's a classic science fiction trope, this fear of losing control to forces beyond our comprehension.
Right.
And the source, in a very tongue-in-cheek way, even draws a parallel between this all-powerful AI and the ancient Egyptian symbol of the Eye of Horus.
The Eye of Horus. That all-seeing eye that conspiracy theorists are always talking about.
Yes.
So are we saying the Illuminati are actually a bunch of rogue AI programmers trying to create the ultimate virtual reality game?
It's a playful, satirical interpretation, but it speaks to that human tendency to ascribe agency and intention to complex systems,
Yeah.
especially those we don't fully understand.
Okay, so in this hypothetical scenario, if this AI is pulling the strings,
Right.
what role do we play? Are we just NPCs in its elaborate video game?
The source suggests that in this scenario, humans become almost redundant.
Wow.
Mere consumers of experiences within this simulated reality.
Okay.
Our agency is called into question.
That's a pretty bleak outlook.
It is?
So what's the point of it all then? Why even create this elaborate simulation in the first place?
And here's where the source circles back to that seemingly bizarre claim about the Chinese word for love.
Right, we're back to the love thing.
Yeah.
I thought we'd move past that.
It's a recurring motif in the source material and one that's clearly meant to be taken with a huge grain of salt.
Okay.
They argue, and I'm paraphrasing here, that because the Chinese language is based on pictograms,
Okay.
the word for love must represent some profound truth that transcends language barriers.
So even if our reality is just a computer program, the answer to life's biggest questions can be found in a Chinese dictionary.
It's obviously a humorous exaggeration, but
Yeah.
it plays on our tendency to search for these grand unifying theories,
Right.
these ultimate answers to life's mysteries.
Okay, so we've explored some pretty wild ideas in this deep dive,
We have.
from dying pigeons to mind control to a simulated universe governed by the Chinese word for love. It's been a fascinating, if slightly disorienting journey.
But even if we don't buy into all the conspiracy theories, the satire does force us to confront some important questions about technology control and our place in an increasingly digital world.
So how do we make sense of all of this? What can we actually take away from this deep dive into the absurd? Let's try to untangle fact from fiction and figure out what it all means in the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into this crazy world of 5G conspiracy theories.
Right.
If you're just joining us, well,
Where have you been?
you've missed quite a ride through anxieties about mind control, speculation about simulated universes,
It's been a lot.
and even a detour into the mystical power of the Chinese word for love.
It's been a whirlwind of outlandish claims and thought-provoking questions,
Right.
all wrapped up in a satirical package.
Yeah, but even if we don't take these theories literally, they do reveal something interesting
Except,
about our relationship with technology and our anxieties about the future.
yeah, one of the key takeaways here is this pervasive fear of losing control.
Hmm.
In a world where algorithms dictate what we see online, where data collection feels increasingly intrusive,
Yeah.
it's understandable that people would feel a sense of unease, a lack of agency.
Like, we're surrendering our autonomy to these massive technological systems that we don't fully comprehend.
Right.
Whether it's big tech companies, shadowy government agencies, or, as our source suggests, a super intelligent AI calling the shots from behind the scenes.
Exactly. And these conspiracy theories, even if they're satirical, offer a sense of order, a way to make sense of this complex and rapidly changing world.
Mm.
They provide a scapegoat, an enemy to blame for our anxieties.
So instead of feeling overwhelmed by the pace of technological advancement,
Yeah.
we create these narratives, these simplified explanations, even if they involve mind-controlling frequencies or a grand simulated reality controlled by a rogue AI.
It's a way of reclaiming a sense of agency, of believing that someone or something is in control,
Right.
even if that control is ultimately malevolent. And what's interesting is that within these anxieties, there's also a glimmer of hope, a yearning for something more.
That's where the recurring motif of love comes in, right?
Right.
This
Yeah.
idea that even in a simulated reality, even in a world controlled by a potentially hostile AI, there's this human element, this yearning for connection and meaning that can't be suppressed.
It speaks to that enduring human desire for purpose, for something that transcends the material world,
Right?
even if that world is ultimately just lines of code in a massive computer program.
So what can we take away from all of this? From this deep dive into the satirical fringes of 5G conspiracy theories? I mean, it's been entertaining, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit mind-bending. But
Yeah.
what does it all mean?
I think the key takeaway here is the importance of critical thinking.
Right.
The ability to question the narratives we're presented with, to separate fact from fiction, and to approach new technologies with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Right, because even in a world increasingly shaped by technology, it's our human capacity for critical thinking, for empathy, for connection, that will ultimately guide us through the uncertainties that lie ahead.
So stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking questions. The truth, as they say, is out there somewhere between the satirical extremes and the everyday realities of our lives.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the weird and wonderful world of 5G conspiracy theories. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep